It's time to lead the way. Let us show you how to reach your fitness goals once and for all. We aren't going to just show you the way. We are going to lead the way.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Coach Sal with the Lead the Way podcast. And today, my guest is a good friend of mine. Her name is Chica. She has been a client with Lead the Way Fitness Monrovia for going on 3 years?
I think it's 3 this summer.
3 this summer, right? Rock and roll. Honestly, I'm stoked. Robin is she's a PE teacher, correct? Right? She you just listen to the podcast, guys, because she's an awesome human being. She does so many different things in life, and she's real. She's down to earth. So we're gonna have fun with this one. All right, Robin. Say hi.
Hi, hello, everybody.
So Robin, you are a PE teacher. Where do you teach at?
I teach at Monrovia High School. So local. I grew up in Monrovia. Went to Monrovia schools. Came back and taught in my own hometown, and kind of never really left. So it's always been my home, my place.
Well, it's an awesome place. I love Monrovia. I love it to death.
Yeah.
And I mean, you get, special treats like the vice president coming into town.
I know, right? How cool is that?
My phone blew up. They're like, hey, why are there cops all over the place? And initially I was thinking the gym and I got really scared.
Oh, I know.
Like, no, it's the vice president's in town. I was like, oh, snap. That's pretty cool.
Actually, when I was in high school, Bill Clinton made a visit because of a thing that the police department and the schools had combined. And he came and visited the high school. And so people got to meet Bill Clinton. It was pretty cool. He landed his helicopter on the softball field. And it's one of those places. We're our own little, Hallmark town. We've got all those things going on.
He actually, in terms of like style and stuff, Bill Clinton was one of my favorite presidents. He's
I think he's the first one as far as age wise where I knew what was going on. I was old enough to be aware of the election. So I think that's why it stands out for me.
Yeah, you and I both. I felt like he was the first one I was actually a part of that actually happening. Before with Bush and Reagan, that was really before me. Had nothing to do with it.
Right.
All right, let's rock and roll. So, Robin, just a little bit about you. You said you grew up in Monrovia. You're a PE teacher. Is this something you've always like, fitness and sports or athletics? Is this something you've always been a part of?
I mean, I grew up an athlete. My parents are both PE teachers.
Oh.
So that is the influence that I had growing up. And I actually grew up a competitive swimmer. I started swimming when I was 7 and swam through college. And then just also played sports in high school, played volleyball and tried a variety of different things. And growing up, my parents always had the philosophy that I just, had to be doing something, be active. We don't care what you play. We don't care what you want to try. Be active, and then also be committed. So if you want to try soccer this season, we're doing soccer for the whole season. And then, you can change your mind and try something else. But I ended up sticking with swimming. It's funny. My mom had her little tricks to keep me going. I think they liked me swimming. They had a good culture around them. But she would always, make me think about my friends and who I wouldn't be friends with anymore if I didn't swim. And so I always ended up sticking with swimming. But so growing up with coaching parents and that kind of thing, it just was organic. And then they're both teachers. So I grew up in a classroom. So I think I just have either inherent patience or learned patience or just an understanding of it. But when I went to college, I actually went to college because I was either interested in being like an athletic trainer or a physical therapist. And so that was the original plan. And I was on the football field my, second year of college, squirting blood off the football players because they can't have blood on their uniforms. So we had this little bleach bottle. And I just had this moment where I was like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. This is not, it's too high paced. Like you said, I'm very down to earth, very easygoing. And that just didn't fit for me. And my college counselor asked me what I loved to do. And I love teaching swim lessons. That is the highlight. And so she's like, well, have you ever thought of being a teacher? And I was like, well, of course I have, and so, the environment we grow up in certainly forms us.
Yeah.
And I was able to make the decision to switch to teaching And the rest is history. I've been teaching for 18 years.
Do you coach as well?
I have coached throughout the years. I've coached swim. I currently coach middle school volleyball at one of the local middle schools.
That's right.
So yeah. And then I coached ASO soccer.
Oh, wow. Male, female.
Huh?
Male, female. Does it even?
My daughter's team.
Oh, okay.
Me and one of our other members co-coached the team.
Who's that? Is that Tanya?
Tanya. Yeah, Tanya and I co-coached.
That's a duo.
So that was a whole other experience. I have to give it up to those ASO volunteers that have done it for years and years, because that is.
I did. I did over when I was living in Texas.
Okay.
I coached my stepson's team. It was
okay.
I loved it. It was so much fun. Yeah, that's just, it's cool when you know what your passion is, right? And you get to be involved and make that impact and make that difference and really teach somebody not just a physical skill, but a mindset and
definitely.
how to self-motivate themselves.
I feel like I definitely, whether it's personality or skill set, but I tend to lend myself towards beginners and new learners. And I think part of it is the reward in actually seeing improvement. And then you as a coach, right? Once you kind of become an elite athlete or at an elite level, change is minuscule. You know, it's hard to see the hard work. But when you're a beginner and you're new, you know, for swimming, you take someone who couldn't swim that's now swimming their first race. And so I think that's where I see the joy, is actually passing them on, like getting them started, getting them the skills in the beginning part, and then, you know, letting that go forward. And that's where I find the most reward.
Rock and roll. So being your parents did in who they were, what was diets like growing up? I mean, what was that focus like?
So we've talked about this together personally, but we were a grab and go family. We were always at practices, or dad had practice late, so we were just hanging around. And so a lot of fast food. My mom, she even calls herself a fixer. She fixes dinner. You know, she'll open cans or reheat something, a lot of boxed meals and things like that. And so as an adult, having the skills to even plan, prepare, or even grocery shop has always been something where I struggle. And until I had a daughter of my own, there wasn't guilt in just grabbing fast food, because I was responsible for myself. But now that I have a 7-year-old and I'm seeing how my decisions are affecting her health in a variety of ways, it's really hit me that, you know, I'm basically the example for her. And so just within the last few months, really focused on trying to make those changes, because now my decisions do affect, you know, directly somebody else.
Yeah. And somebody you care very deeply for. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And somebody who I want to have the skills, you know, to make those decisions herself, you know? Yeah. So I must be doing something right, because she commented the other day, we're having dinner at home again, you know, so.
That's awesome.
She's slowly.
Yeah. And how are you dealing with that? I know we've had that conversation, and if you don't mind, I would like to let everybody in on that, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. Actually, what we decided to do as a family, to make things a little easier, was use a meal box service.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're dropping names, so I won't say anything.
Yeah, no,
unless you can get sponsorships, you know. So the nice thing about it is we can choose based on what our dietary, preferences and needs are, and it sends you only the food that you need. So there's not waste or anything like that. And we're a family of 3, so we did a family of 4 option, and then that provides leftovers. It comes with all the nutrition information, so I can supplement accordingly around that. But that, for me, has just supported, being at home, being in the kitchen. I know what the meals for the week are going to be. And so it's giving me that opportunity. And now I've got recipes at the ready. And if I needed to make it again, or if it was something that we liked, it's available to us. And then actually had the opportunity, recently, to talk with Coach Sam and get some of the macro count numbers that I could start focusing on. So now I can take it, one step further to really make sure I'm doing what's best for my body.
When Robin and I had talked, it was just a few months ago. And,
Yeah.
she, she had talked to me, and it was specifically revolving her daughter and those choices, and seeing how, you heard her say, as a grab and go family, that's what she picked up, that's what she learned. So cooking wasn't in her repertoire, it's not in her toolbox. And so we had talked about different options, and I don't think I brought up the meal service option. So that's awesome. You went and looked out. And honestly, please, what company are you using? Because people want to know, and it'll be helpful for them.
We decided to go with Blue Apron.
Okay.
Mostly because it seemed to have more family friendly, like little kid type options, where some of the other ones seemed a little more intricate with ingredients that
not everybody would like.
Yeah.
Especially little kids.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. See, when you're looking and you're at that point where I'm not going to use the word desperation, but the frustration and the anger, and you seeing your choices as being adverse to the people that you love, and you want to create a change, you're going to find a way. You're going to find something to do. And so, and being who you are, what you do for a living, you have a background in health and nutrition. You have, and so, but it's funny, I had this conversation with somebody else the other day. It's okay when it's your own body, you can live with the consequences, and you live with the choices, right? As you being responsible as you are to a child, you have to set that example, or you should at least want to.
Right.
If you want to desperate enough, you're going to find a way to win. And that is a great way, especially if you don't have cooking as a tool, as a tool in your toolkit.
Yeah.
Those meal services, I've used things like Every Plate. There's actually a shop here locally where I'm at, and so you just go place it up and ready.
Oh, cool.
I'm using the meal prep that we use, the Flex and Prep. I've been using that recently because, just like you, extremely busy, running around all day, and it's hard to always have something cooked and ready. So
well, and I think one of the things that also drew me to the actual meal, the service, was we could do it together, so she could learn to cook, because again, I didn't have that example. I wasn't seeing the process of cooking. It was just already, heat and eat kind of a thing. So, the skills that one day will benefit her, so we can, chop vegetables together, and I can build those moments in together, and she can kind of see what's going into her food and that stuff. So that was another big plus in choosing one that required some cooking to it. And it forces you to be at home. It's easy to not be if you don't have to be sometimes.
It's another bonding moment. Great.
Yeah, definitely. It's providing a lot.
You and I are very close in age, Robin. And when we were growing up, fast food was the thing. And we didn't know, our parents didn't know the consequences of what fast food brought about. Now this is something that's newer towards the 2010, especially now it's extremely out there, right? People understand that, hey, this stuff half of it isn't real food.
Right.
And the other half is loaded with preservatives. So there's just so much gunk that you're putting into your body. But that wasn't something that was told to anybody. And even then it was probably cleaner back.
Well, yeah, it was probably cleaner, and we weren't nearly eating it as much. It was a treat, maybe on a Friday or, something like that. And the sizes, right? The size of the soda or the French fries.
Yeah, like the super size. And I wouldn't doubt that they're going to make another size even bigger. You're going to just come with the tub from this. But, that's the thing, is that it might not have been, or let me rephrase this. It wasn't a bad choice for your parents to do certain things. It wasn't a bad choice for my mom to do certain things. This is just how we lived at the time. And we were doing our best to make the best of every situation. But when you recognize now what's going on and you start to make changes, that's the thing. When you recognize that something is wrong, make the choices to make the changes.
Well, and I think even for my family, until the COVID shutdowns happened, it wasn't affecting our family because we were active and we were out, and my daughter was getting adequate activity. So for me growing up, it wasn't really affecting my weight or different things, because you're a kid, you're growing, you're moving, some of that stuff doesn't kind of hit you till later. But when the world kind of stopped and shut down, and she wasn't going to the park as often, and she wasn't at school running around, or she wasn't at ballet or dance class. You know, we spent a lot of time at home, and we tried to do stuff as a family, go for bike rides, go for walks. But that's when, you know, some of it kind of caught up with her. And then that's when it really made me realize that, you know, this is something that, because it changed, it affected us. So even for us as a family, it's only been a really recent realization.
Yeah. Well, Robin, why, again, you're a PE teacher, and you again, you have the education and the knowledge and the background. What started you down the path to find, I mean, you joined us when we were Fit Body Boot Camp.
Yeah.
And what made you
in the basement?
In the basement, right? The dungeon days. Those are fun days.
Yeah.
Crazy days, but fun days. Well, what made you start to seek a gym versus going to, say, like a box gym and doing your own thing, or maybe even, I don't know if there's weights at Monrovia, something to, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's funny because I was even thinking about talking with you today and, like, you know, admitting, yeah, I'm a PE teacher. Like my whole focus and everything that I do in my life is to avoid people needing us, basically, you know, you, me, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to learn the skills. And one of the things I talk to my students about all the time is, you know, it's not cheap to maintain your fitness as you get older through life. So if you have the skills, you know, hopefully we're saving money. So I was kind of like, oh, it's interesting that I'm doing this. But the truth is, I think it's the atmosphere, it's the environment. And I do think that growing up as an athlete, I think it's safe to say that even though I'm an expert in the field, my expertise is in child development and in, you know, generic, like kind of like a jack of all trades, right? I could teach you the basic skills of golf, but I'm not a golf pro.
Right.
So if you needed deeper instruction, you know, I would ask you to, you know, help for you there. But I think because I grew up an athlete, your practices are planned for you. There's somebody providing you with the specific things that are meant for you. And so I think through adulthood, because I've you know, been the box gym member. I mean, I think I still have a 24-hour fitness membership because I've had it since I was 14, and it's almost cheaper to keep it than, you know, lose it and then change my mind one day, kind of a thing. So it's like, you know, and it's, for me, it's just, I think I know myself well enough to know that the motivation to push myself to a level is easier to, it's only 5 less, or, you know, like, oh, who am I, you know, who's watching me do this, you know, and when I have people around me, when I have the environment that motivates me to want to do a little bit better. And so that's what keeps me coming to the gym. That's what keeps me coming to Lead the Way Fitness, is the ability to have someone else to be accountable to besides myself. I know ideally it would be great to only be accountable to myself, but I just think my personality benefits from someone else doing the work for me, right? Like I work all day. I plan all day. My brain is doing a million things all day. So to have to also continue planning my workouts and planning my, you know, whatever I'm going to be doing, it's a luxury, right? I mean, it's something that I can get to do, but it's a reward for myself as well. I mean, I think I've actually recently started going to therapy because I have a newly diagnosed anxiety. I think it's always existed, but again, the COVID experience heightened a lot of stuff for me. And so I started seeing somebody, and
good for you.
One of the number one things that I do for myself is go to the gym. And so because I am still really cautious and careful about that, it's something that's been hard for me because it was like my hobby or my preferred activity. You know, that was my thing. That's what I was going to do every day. And I knew I was going to do it. And, you know, it was enough variety where I didn't know 100% what was going to happen. But like I said, it's almost my escape from the rest of the monotony.
Like I love it all. Absolutely relevant. Thank you for being vulnerable and being
totally
that out there. And to be honest with you, you guys, and I thank you for that. And I what you do, who you are, that's my purpose. This is what I wake up for every day. I tell people all the time, I get to brag. I don't have a job. I live what I love doing every day, and so it's easy. It's not easy because, waking up at 4:20 in the morning every day is not easy, but it's easy to turn the switch and say, nope, gotta go. There's people who depend on me and count on me, and I want to make sure I'm there for them. And they have big plans, and that's exciting for me. But here's the thing, and this is what people don't understand most times, is that you guys hold me as accountable as I do you, because I can't do what I'm doing without keeping myself on point as well. So me going to get my workouts, me making sure I'm eating right, me making sure I'm doing these things so I can be an example, or else I'd be the same person. I'd be, probably 20 pounds, 30 pounds heavier. I'd, exercise from time to time, but staying as consistent as I am now.
And another thing for me, and I think it plays to my advantage, so, might as well work with it. But one of the lessons that I'm constantly teaching my students is that fitness is lifelong. There's not there's not an end point, right? I mean, even just recently, the school year ended and they wanted to know what the final was. And I was like, unfortunately, there's no final in fitness. Like, it's ongoing. We're continuously working on fitness. So I do think by being able to say, like, hey, I get up at 4:45 to go to the gym at 5:30, 3 days a week or 2 days a week. And I'm going to the gym after school today, or right now I'm training for a half marathon. So, I want to, like you said, like, you walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And I want them to see that it's a process, that I'm not perfect. I could, and I do have to continuously work for something. And it is a lifelong activity and choice. It's not a final destination kind of a thing.
1,000% true. And we talked a little bit before we press record. It's a roller coaster. I love comparing it as a roller coaster, because you're not always going to win. There's going to be days where it's going to be hard. There's going to be days where you're going to see something and you're going to be like, how did I get here again? Right. But if you continue and just keep going, like you said, and make it a lifelong thing, to something you never take your eyes off of, then those ups can easily, they no longer become mountains. They're just little hills that you just got to get over the hump and get back on track and get refocused. You brought up going to therapy and how the gym is actually a part of that. Like, that's where you go. This is one of your wins, is what you look forward to. After I got out of the service, that was huge for me too. I going 3 tours in combat and doing all the things that I did, I had to go to therapy myself. And honestly, the only thing that saved my life was fitness. It was working out, training. It's a great mind release. It's a great stress relief. So the point is, results aren't always weight loss. They're not always building muscles. Sometimes it's just, it's that freedom of relieving the negative energy that's in your body, and it has to go somewhere. Better it goes to some weights or some push-ups or something like that than punching a wall or drinking or something crazy, right?
Well, and I mean, it's again, it's been a part of my life for so long that it almost feels like, there's whether it's just the way my body responds, the chemical release, the feeling of achievement, but like, I've never, even though I was an athlete, even though I do things that are quote unquote competitive, I'm not a competitive person. But which is why I lended myself towards more individual sports like swimming and things like that. And that's what drives me, is that personal achievement and that, like just personal growth. And so it's hard because a lot of people don't need that. They're not, intrinsic in some of their motivations. But, I think there's a place for everybody in fitness. It's just a matter of finding that feeling,
2022 comes around and, or better said, 2021 comes around in the summer, and, 2020, everything shuts down. We went from a gym membership or a population of having 350 members to dropping down to under 200 over that time. And And we understood, and we did our best to keep our doors open and do the best we could to help our members in every way. But surely and slowly, people started coming back around. Robin was one of them. As Robin started coming back, yeah, it really was, and that's really what I'm getting at. Is it took her some time. And I remember seeing her for the first time coming back. It was awesome. It put a huge smile on my face, because I'm telling you, Robin's energy is awesome. She's the type of people you want to be around. And so I know we started to, pick up. More people started coming around. COVID comes back, goes away, comes back, goes away, that whole cycle. But here comes, I think it was about February, March when we had that conversation, and I could just see the frustration and determination in your face. And we had that conversation, and, you told me this is what I'm going to do. And I remember, for the few weeks after that, and still to this day, I come in, and you're one of the people I see at 5:30 in the morning, rocking and rolling. You've been as consistent as I've ever seen you.
And I think that goes along with your roller coaster example. I mean, pre-COVID, I was consistently 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, every single day. Sometimes Tanya could convince me to do a double if I did 5:30 in the morning, and then, I would do it again with her at night. And when we shut down, it was hard because there's just another routine in my life, another constant that was gone. And so because of the anxiety and a lot of the things that I've had to deal with, when people started going back, it almost had a negative effect. I started to almost feel like bitter and like upset that people were going back and I wasn't ready. And so that's part of the like frustration, and that's where it got to the point. And I remember when I first joined the gym, not right away, because we were at the new location, having the conversation with Coach Alex when he was still there. Like, you're just ready to be yourself again. And I felt like I wasn't myself anymore. Oh, you're going to make me cry, and that's the hardest part is I'm not me, and I want to be me, but there's this part inside of me that's not ready. And so having this dichotomy of wanting it and needing it, and then also not feeling comfortable doing it. And so slowly getting back into it again, I'm climbing that mountain again. It's hard. My body is, reminding me, this is hard work to get back into that habit and back into that routine. But it's so important to me, and, I've stuck with it and I intend on sticking with it. It's just getting back into it and getting back to being me, back to who I feel is the most me.
Well, again, thank you for being vulnerable and real. And honestly, Robin, I had no doubt in my mind, especially having that conversation, that you're going to start making some huge changes and start making some great progress. Change hurts. Change hurts. Change is uncomfortable. Change is a struggle. Change is something that, it's just an uncomfortable thing to go through. And so you got to have the courage to go through it, and you got to have the courage to go through it every day. You have to win that day, because if the minute you slack and you start giving yourself another break and then you're back again. Right. That roller coaster starts to take.
Sounds like my half marathon training right now.
Well, I'm right there with you too. I'm supposed to be training for a full marathon. I haven't done anything.
I think we're both doing the Long Beach one, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
In October.
It'll be fun. But that progress is always so much more rewarding when you really put it in, you put that effort in the way you're doing it. And so what, you're doing 3 days a week, you're using the meal prep service. What's going on with your body? What's going on with your mind? How are you feeling? How are things changing?
I'm feeling better. It's the end of the school year. So there's this kind of shift in things, but I work summer school. So it's like turning off one light and then turning on another, same house, different room kind of a thing. But I just feel like even with the meal planning, it's like I don't have to worry about dinner because I know what's going to be for dinner that night. And so it's really teaching me about planning and preparation, which is taking a layer of anxiety off. So at 5 o'clock, I'm not panicking now. Like, what are we going to do for dinner? That's figured out. So that means we're at home and we can sit down and do homework together. So there's just this general kind of calmness in life where things are starting to settle down and just, becoming more part of our life and part of our routine. And so that's good. I think my body is older. And I don't know why all of a sudden my body is reminding me that I'm not as young as I used to be. So there's, I think, a little bit more, like my husband is 9 years older than me, and I always used to make fun of him when he'd wake up with his plantar fasciitis or, a crick in his back. And now I wake up and I'm like, oh, that's a new feeling before, things like that. But I'm feeling my energy is good. I'm happy. And it's just, I feel like I feel like I'm working on the whole Robin, not just the muscles and the body. There's a lot of me that's being healed and being taken care of, when it had probably been neglected for a while.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Health isn't about muscles.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way to get healthy, but that's not health.
Right.
And health isn't weight loss. It's a way to make your body healthy. But even that, there's a range, and you can be unhealthy with too much weight.
And I would say that's probably the hardest habit to break, right? Is that scale, that number on the scale. Because even through good times, the number wasn't moving like I thought it should be moving. But, I see, luckily the in body, it shows you more than just the number on the scale. And so I think breaking that habit is hard, even for me, who knows what it means. And, I know that BMI is, a bogus number that I don't want to look at. But even still, it's so ingrained in society and so ingrained in our worlds that even as a professional who knows that it's a silly number, it's still hard to break that image, right? So, it's like stepping on the scale. It's like I'm in the habit again, like of stepping on the scale almost every day just to see if it's going to change. And like, I know that's not, you know what I mean? Like it's such a hard habit to break. That one is probably the hardest one for me as far as mentally connecting what I'm doing. But I know my pants are fitting better, so that's good.
And I'm telling you, that is the best.
Yeah.
The best. I mean, I think most people won't even recognize that they are having a weight gain issue.
Right.
So their pants aren't feeling the same way right now. Like, oh, I got to go buy new clothes. So if that's going in reverse, you're doing it right. And
right.
I love that you hit that with the scale. Honestly, I think, all the podcasts, this is my fourth podcast, but with that, this is the first time that phrase itself has actually come up, or just talking about the scale and that wrestling with it. So many people, and this is not a woman thing. I know people think that trust me, we have plenty of males at the gym who's the same thing. And we have been programmed to make that scale an identity, and it labels us. It tells us we're fat, we're unhealthy, we're this, we're that. And the reality of it is a bunch of bull crap. It really is down the road. Your ability to perform, your endurance, your confidence, all the things that you actually, and what you're working on, like you hinted it before, working on your whole self and loving yourself and being comfortable in your own body. That is health.
Yeah.
That is health. The whole package it has nothing or barely nothing to do with weight. Fat, yes, can be very unhealthy.
Yeah.
But that's fat. And fat doesn't, that's not weight.
It's not reflected in that one number on the scale.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's part of it, like I do have a daughter now, and as much as I try to raise her to be, proud of herself, my image of myself is going to be reflected, and I want her to grow up knowing that, who she is who she is, and that's, something to be proud of. And I didn't grow up with that. And I think even now my mom is probably my mom has a very negative body image, and my daughter's around my mom a lot. And so, just trying to give her the healthy lifestyle and be a picture of health, and in as many ways as I can, to where, she told me the other day, someone asked, oh, what does your mom like to do? And she said, go to the gym. My mom likes to work out, and so it's like, I want to live the example, right? I want to lead the way. I want to show people. And I think I said it before, like walk the walk, not talk the talk.
Yeah.
But, it's so deeply ingrained. And I know we have a TikTok now. Lead the Way has a TikTok now, but I made a TikTok video not long ago that I had seen somebody say, hey, show us what you look like. And, what are your numbers, the numbers, because I think it's so important, especially since I work with teenagers, to know that those numbers don't mean a lot, right? We can have two people who are the same height, the same weight, and they can look entirely different, or vice versa. They can weigh exactly the same, and one is this tall and one is this tall. And so I didn't grow up with a positive body image. I still struggle with body image. But I have a daughter who I don't want to have those struggles. And I think I told you before, I'm projecting a lot of my trauma onto her, right? So I'm really worried about her weight. I'm really worried about if she's bigger than other kids. And that's a lot of because of the trauma that I had. I was always a bigger kid, and just bigger, meaning taller even. And so things like, playing dress up at a friend's house, I'd always have to wear the mom's clothes because I was too big for the clothes of my friends. And it just created this really negative picture of myself. And, only until really recently, even accepting just my body as my body, things that, shapes, that everyone has a different shape and different things like that. I remember one time right out of college, I had gained a lot of weight in college because I had quit swimming. And so I had always relied on physical activity to be the reason that my weight was maintained. But when I stopped doing that and kept eating the way that I was eating, it hit me pretty hard. And so I actually went to one of those medical weight loss ones, and I was getting B12 injections, and the guy actually ended up getting arrested for writing prescriptions for pills.
Yeah.
He was a medical pill popper, prescription writer. So anyway, and I was going to them, and I remember going into this place, and they had me fill out the survey, and they asked me questions about, what's your ideal? What's the best shape you've ever been? What's the smallest size you've ever been? What goal are you working towards? And I told them, and it was a size, I said, I want him to be a size 10. That's, when I was, in my opinion, the best shape of my life. I was swimming regularly. I was working out. And the lady looked at me and she's like, oh, so you've always been a big girl. And I was just like, I just told you that's my ideal. And you just slammed it.
Yeah.
And that was so hard to hear and so painful. And it was just I just told you that's the best shape I've ever been in my life, and there's just certain things, I have hips, if you know me, I have wide hips. And so those are just things that as I've gotten older, I've learned to, I don't know if I appreciate them yet. I don't know if I'm proud of them yet.
Yeah.
But just to be honest with myself,
Yeah.
right? I can work out all day. I can do as many, butt lifts and all those kinds of things that I want, but the structure of my body is always going to be the structure of my body. And so I don't even know what started this conversation, to be perfectly honest, but it's, the example for my daughter that we just have to embrace who we are and the body that we're in and go forward from there.
How tall are you, Robin?
5'8".
5'8". Okay. I left the medical clinical world because of what I saw was going on, and I didn't want to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come into the health and fitness world, and the first thing I see, I'm like, this is not, this is not cool. What are we doing? And so I know that in my realm, in our realm, there's two sides. There's the side that's really going after a mindset, a lifestyle, a true healthy way to not just live your life, but, look at yourself, feel about yourself and understand yourself. And then there's the vanity side that's just chasing and pushing garbage and nonsense down people's throat like that. There is, to really, and really what she did was body shame you, and to do it in a way that's, you know, like there's some standard, there's some, you know, everybody needs to fit in this shoe and be Cinderella. It's such bull crap. No, it's just, it's frustrating by all. I can't even, I wish there's words I could use, but I think we're on a podcast.
I know. Well, and it's one of those where later I had gone, I had invested in a personal trainer, and I was working out with a personal trainer, and we did, you know, the basal metabolic rate, and we found out a lot of stuff, and we did some calculations. And at that time, when I was the smallest that I, you know, considered myself, I was at about 14% body fat. But this lady told me
that's crazy,
basically, that I was huge. And I mean, again, looking back on it and having a negative self-image, I never understood intrinsically, you know, what it meant. I just took what I perceived the world. And I mean, we grew up around the same time, right? We grew up around supermodels who, like, you were idolized if you were anorexic. And so being a woman who didn't have that shape, you know, had a lot of issues. But so trying to change that, and trying to change that in my students that I see every day, trying to change that with my daughter, is part of why I continue to do what I do, and show that, you know, I mean, I had a student tell me the other day, she's like, "You do a lot of squats at the gym, huh? You have a big butt." And it was positive. It was a positive statement, you know? Like, so I'm
like, yes, I do.
Yes, I do. You know, I do. I work out. So it's not, you know, it's something that I work for, you know, don't rely on surgery or genetics or, you know, things that you do have to put work into it. So.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I find that kid. And then, you know, people, like you said, we grew up at a time where, you know, those women were idolized, but far and few did it they live very unhealthy lifestyles. Again, eating disorders across the board, or just starvation, or just certain things that, you know, they'll tell you, they're the first ones to tell you that I lived this life and it wasn't good. And it cost them a lot in the end. And so it's just crazy what we tend to look at. We set this standard. It was like, oh, we want to be this person. And in reality, that person is broken to all ends inside.
Right.
You know, we got to stop that outer appearance type thing, and understand that beauty, strength, all those things come within. The body's just a vessel. Keep it healthy, make it look good in a sense to where you are. 14% body fat is awesome.
Right?
It's freaking awesome. Yeah.
Well, and here's the truth. And this is something that I've had to come to realize with myself, is the person that was probably not anymore. I think I'm a little more realistic now. But the person that I was chasing doesn't exist. That was an 18-year-old high school / college athlete that didn't have a full-time job, that didn't have a daughter, that didn't have bills, you know, that didn't have a lot of the life that I have now. And so it's only been maybe in the last year or two that I've come to realize that it's not about who you used to be, it's who you're working towards. Who, you know, and it's that work in progress, right? Thing, like there's no end. It's not gonna be, okay, once I weigh 160, then I'm happy, because the reality is you got to keep working, right? Like you're not gonna always lose. Like it's not about just continuously losing weight or changing that number. And I'm in my 40s, and it's taking me a long time as a professional in the health and fitness industry to even accept that within myself. So that
was powerful.
You know, it's hard, because as much as she was cool and fun and different, this is me now, and it's the forward movement.
And I love that you said that, because I know that so many people, that's what they want. They look at this, who they were before. I want to get back to this person. Yeah, it's impossible.
Right.
The person's in the past, that person's gone.
Right.
This is you today. I do, my mindset, and I do want to not necessarily challenge, but focus on, I just sat with one of our members the other day, and we were having this conversation, and I told him, he's like, what do I need to do to really, get over the mind?
Yeah.
That's right. And I said, win the day.
Yeah.
So win the day, every day. Don't worry about what you're like, put aside the goals. you know you have a goal, but I always tell people lock it away, put it in a safe somewhere. You can open it up next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. But all you have to do, you know, you're working to better who you are, but that's it, who you are, not who you're gonna be.
Yeah, right.
Not who you were, but who you are. And so you have to win the day. If you go about every day winning the day, one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna blow your goals out of the water. Is really what ends up happening. So, you know, never worry about the future. Set a goal. Goals are always good. They're healthy to have. Set a goal, but once you do, don't fixate on it. Put it away. You know, you're in sports, your background. I don't think that athletes ever say, you know, they'll start a season and say, we're gonna win the championship this year, but then that's it. Like, that's the last time they talk about it, right? After that, it's every game counts. Every game counts. Every game counts, and that's all they're focused on, is winning that game, because they know they're gonna stack, and eventually it'll get them to that goal. So if you continue to fixate, you're gonna get stressed out. You're gonna freak out.
Well, and even an even smaller, you know, example is, you know, I teach sports skills, you know, so different things like that. Kids want to go straight to playing the game, right? They want to go straight to the big day. But it's like, no, the Lakers still do layups. They still do warm-ups. They still, you know, stretch. They still do the things that get you there. And so I think, you know, that's the reality, right? The every day is what you're relying on, not the one day.
It's the only thing you can control.
Yeah. And you can barely control that.
Especially in today's day and age, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. What would you tell the audience, the viewers, about, you know, who might be on the fence or might be struggling with, you know, doubt or like, you know, even anxiety, and want to make a change, but like yourself, they're just, you know, when you were in that space, they just weren't ready. What would you tell them?
I mean, I think, like I said, it does take a certain level of honesty, and having that conversation with yourself. You know, what can you change? What can you control? You can control your body. You can control the movements that your body does, and you can control the output of a lot of stuff that you do. And by making those small little choices, to go to the gym for 30 minutes a day, to have a, you know, extra set of vegetables instead of, you know, that chocolate chip muffin that's sitting in the kitchen right now, that's been spinning around in my head since we got here. You know, I mean, I think I don't want to say that you have to break down, but I think you have to break yourself down, and you have to be vulnerable to the change, the muscle soreness, you know, the having to hold on to something to sit down, you know, or, you know, you have to go through some of that uphill climb, just to reference kind of our conversation earlier, to even know if there's a downhill on the other side, right? If you never start going up, you're never going to know. And I think the longer and more work you put into it, those uphills might be steep, but you get stronger and you know how to maneuver it. But you have a family of support that's there for you to maybe give you the push or to carry the load for you a little bit, whether that's natural family or, you know, found family. And I think that's what Lead the Way does, is they provide that family, right? I mean, it is a family, right? It's not just a gym. It's not random strangers like a box gym who are standing next to each other in the same space. They're interacting, and we're connecting, and we're doing things, and having that support system. I mean, everybody knows, or hopefully you know, that support systems are necessary, because you're gonna fall. You're gonna need help.
Yeah.
And having people there is huge.
It's one of my favorite aspects of being a part of this, because, you know, I played soccer growing up. You know, after that, I ran from time to time, but it wasn't until the military that I really got into training consistently. And what made it, not necessarily, I wouldn't use the word fun, but what made it, you know, bearable was the camaraderie of all of us training together. And so finding Lead the Way Fitness, it really allowed me to keep that. And so even me, when I'm there, it's so much fun. It's awesome. I know you guys are doing all the hard work at the time, but for me, just watching that happen and seeing how you guys really band together when we do events and you guys all come out and we're not even talking about fitness.
No, you guys might be the first people to break me out of my shell to go line dancing.
Are you going? Let's
That's
go.
enticing. That's super enticing.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm super nervous as well because I've never done that before.
I'm not nervous for I take line dance classes.
Do you?
I could teach you guys. I know.
I'm gonna have to come talk to you this week because I'm nervous. I'm gonna look crazy, but you know me.
It's fun.
That's a typical day for me. So we're gonna have some fun. But that honestly, like you said, we have and we will continue to build a strong support system there because so one of our core values, we got to win together. We need help. Egos out the door. Let's do this together. Of that saying, Christian says it a lot. You want to go fast, go by yourself, but if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah,
and so we're reaching far, and it's awesome. It's fun doing it. Last question: what would you say is your favorite component to lead the way to the gym itself, and your experience with it to this point?
Let's see. I like the structure. Like I said, I like that the workouts, kind of follow a structure, but then they're also not the same every day, so you're learning how to do quote unquote, core moves and strength moves and, moves that the world knows, right? So we're not calling them funky names like maybe some other gyms, and it's like, oh, I did a, Charlie, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're doing squats and we're doing Russian deadlifts and and so I love that there's almost like a, informative, right? Because a lot of people who are coming in to do this work, they don't know what these things mean. And so they're learning. And I think that's really cool. I love the music. I love the energy. I think that is essential because like you said, it has to be fun. You have to have fun. And let's say, you could think of some of our 5:30 roosters, like as soon as a song comes on, it doesn't matter how much they hate the workout or how much they hate the coach that day, they are having a good time.
Shout out to Joni on that one.
Yeah, right. Joni. Again, it's a family, it's a home. My daughter's been able to make connections there. And so, gosh, I love a lot about the gym. I love the access to coaches. I love that I can reach out to anyone. And I love, honestly, the simplest thing that someone knows my name. It amazes me how quickly you guys pick up names. And I don't know how you guys work on that. As a teacher, I feel like that's a skill I need to be a lot better at. But it's cool. It's really cool to feel like someone there knows you and is happy to see you. And it's just, you guys do a really great job. And I'm lucky that I fell into this and found this and have now made it my home as well.
Well, Robin, I am too. I am too. Trust me. And I agree with you. You are part of that. Every member there is a part of that. I've done my best to surround myself with people who love this. Love this. This is a purpose for us. This isn't, I did get opportunities to work at other places and I was like, no, I'm not there. And so I as well am grateful to be able to have stumbled onto this. And so our goal is to continue to make that impact and continue to make a change and create change and provide a space, a safe space, a fun space for people who want to do something about their health, for them to come and have some fun doing it. And so thank you. Thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank
you for taking some time to chat with me on this Friday afternoon. Keep doing what you're doing, Robin. I'm super proud of you. You're an awesome human being. Again, everything I said about you is 100% genuine and true. So keep doing what you're doing. If I can help, all you do is reach out. I'm always here for you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Sal.
You're very welcome, Robin. Have a great weekend. But before we go, again, if you guys are in Southern Cal or in the LA area, Monrovia especially, or Southern, San Gabriel Valley, come check us out, Lead the Way Fitness or leadthewayfit.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and as Robin said, we're on TikTok now. We're just getting our wings spread
Check
there.
out the challenges. The challenges today are pretty good.
That's funny. Bradley cheated. Bradley, we caught you on camera.
And you know what though? It's really cool because it shows you how the body naturally does things, right? Like everyone's hands want to go forward to help them up. So by having to tie them back,
that's
cool.
true.
It's a good lesson in like physics and biomechanics.
Our new Friday routine is going to be to find a new challenge to do every Friday, because we stopped coming up with ideas for that raffle drawing. So we're going to do challenges.
It's not fitness related, but have you seen the tortilla wrap challenge?
Look it up though.
So you take a swig of water, like you fill your mouth with water in a water bottle, and then you play rock, paper, scissors with the other person. Okay. And whoever loses, you smack them across the face with the tortilla, but so they don't spit out their water. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
I'll have to check that out. Tortilla wrap. Okay, I'll check it out.
All right.
Robin, have a great weekend. Again, thank you. Everybody out there, have a great, safe weekend. We will talk to you guys soon.